All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to give it about a minute or so while everyone logs in, gets set up. But thanks for joining us this morning. Okay, let's see. So we've got about 30 people here, which is fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's 2 minutes after. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know everyone's on a tight schedule, but thanks again for being here. Today's our roundtable for local government. Looks as though we've got 30 participants, and today we'll go through this quick little slideshow here. For the most part, today we are here to answer your questions and make sure that you are aware of what's happening. You know most of everybody on the team. I'm sure we do have a new team member, Amy, who is not in this session today, but we're very excited to have her, and she's here and doing great work. And you're all very familiar of our timeline here. So as you know, the challenge process window is closing on the 14th at 11:59 p.m. That is Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time. So that is coming up very soon. And then from there, and once as you know, once a challenge is submitted, there is then that starts the clock for 15 days for ISPs to respond. So that 15-day clock does not start when the window closes. It starts as soon as a challenge is submitted. So we just want to make sure that everyone is clear on that. And then again, today, we're going to be answering any and all of your questions, making sure that you have the information you need, you are clear, and we are able to support you as much as possible. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions. You can submit your questions in the chat. That might be an option for you. Also in the Q&A. So you've got the Q&A, and then if it comes up as anonymous, please definitely identify your name and where you're from. That helps us have a better understanding and better context. And then I'll ask Sandeep or Crystal if they've got any details they want to share while we wait.
I just want to share a few things, and thank you, Kelly, for kicking this off. This is the last webinar before we close the challenge process. So me and my colleagues here today to answer the questions you have. We can talk about the Community Anchor Institute. There are new guidelines posted in our on our website, the ACA Challenge Process website, regarding the Community Anchor Institute. If any reason the Community Anchor Institute is missing from the map. The reason to add that additional guideline later on was because when NTI came up with the revision, we already launched our challenge process tool. So we wasn't able to add that into the portal layer. So we went through multiple iteration with NTI, and NTI allowed us to basically accept those missing CI challenges using the template we have provided and posted on the website. That's one thing. We can talk about the planned surface area. So basically, planned surface area is a surface which is claimed by an ISP in a particular county or cities that they are investing their private dollar to build this network, and this network will be built either within June 30th, or they have a set timeline. They're providing us documentation and everything when they're submitting this. We will forward that planned surface area challenge to you as to the local government, so that you can verify if they actually applied for the permitting, they spoke to you before they invest money in this area, and you will be providing your feedback along with the State Broadband Office will also evaluating the documentation they will be sending with the planned surface area, and that can include a contract with their with the city or town, a franchisee agreement, the financial documentation they are investing in that particular area, their invoices to their contractor, their permitting documentation, and finally, a very mandatory thing with the State Broadband Office would be signing a binding agreement. So they are committing to State Broadband Office through a contract that they will be building in this particular BSL, broadband serviceable location. And because of that reason, State Broadband Office will not deploy any BEAD funding for that particular area. So these are all going to be in the map, but we will notify you once we receive that kind of planned service area or once we are done with the evaluation. I just wanted to highlight a few new things which we'll be discussing today, but we are open for any question. You can still go ahead and set up office hours with us. But this is the last public roundtable before we close the challenge process. So we wanted to make sure that we are hearing from you. Crystal, Jamie, want to invite you both if you have any comments to add on top of that.
If I'm not sure if everyone is aware of how to respond to an open rebuttal, like Sandeep was saying, once we see those types of challenges that are relevant or should be forwarded to the county, we'll likely send you an email from our office letting you know that you have 15 days to rebuttal it. And if you have any questions, always reach out to our office. Our website does have some additional information on rebuttal evidence and challenge evidence that I highly encourage you all to read. This will really help basically get your challenge and your rebuttals accepted, knowing all the evidence that is needed. Okay, thank you, Kelly.
I was going to say there's a couple questions in the chat or in the Q&A. First one came in from Corey. We are getting errors when a resident submits a speed test. Are we the only ones getting this error?
Crystal, I will just take the high level. I'll provide a high level answer, and you are most welcome to jump into the technicality. Corey, there are few instances where residents are getting error, and it's because sometimes they are probably already unserved and they don't need to take a speed test, or in some cases, they are already served and trying to take a speed test, which is way over that. I would highly recommend if you can take a screenshot of the address and send it to directly at broadband@azcommerce.com. We would be able to sweep that data, whatever speed test was taken before in that from that address, and reinstate it back if the speed test was taken in proper form, or we can definitely provide you some sort of other alternative.
Great. Okay. Next question from Mary Springer. After the challenge process, what is the role of local governments? What is the process for a county to get funding?
So the county doesn't technically directly get the funding. So State Broadband Office will be responsible for dividing the whole state into multiple project areas. So that area can be two different geographical area within your county or three different geographical area within your county. We are trying to make the process very competitive, so all the small ISPs and big ISPs all can bid on these project areas, and then we will distribute the funding. So we'll directly work with the ISPs, and they will be the main applicant in this case. You are most welcome as a county to directly partner up with them or write them a recommendation letter. However, having said that, counties or local governments are very, very important in this process. So we are parallelly also working on the project areas, that how we are going to divide the whole state into multiple project areas based on the financial, engineering, middle mile, amount of funding we have, geographical area, et cetera, et cetera. We'll keep from the next webinar, we'll start giving you an ideas that how we are dividing the whole state into project areas. Also, we are planning to host a local government event here in ACA to talk more about the project areas and probably open the project area or tentative project area at that meeting. Kelly and our team is working closely right now to publish more information on that. So please stay tuned. But all this information like project areas, how the money will be distributed, who's interested ISP in your areas. Everything will be discussed with the counties and the local government, so they are fully informed before we open up the BEAD funding in September. I would welcome my team to add things if we missed anything.
I'm thinking Crystal and Jamie think that you have not missed anything. Okay. All right. So thank you, Mary, for that question. We'll move on to Tom. Tom from Gila County. Thank you, Tom, for being here. Sandeep, you bring up the community anchor areas and possible errors. Are those able to be corrected, or have they been corrected if submitted?
I can take this one. So the community anchor institutions errors, those are mostly errors that had to do with geocoding, which means basically taking an address and giving it latitude and longitude coordinates. So we've identified several of those errors, and we've also had several counties and local government entities reach out and try to identify some examples where those errors were seen. So we're currently working with our consultant to basically scrub almost 18,000 entries and make sure that those are corrected. We were given permission from NTIA to correct those, basically the location or the coordinates for those entries. However, if there are missing CAIs, that has to be addressed during the challenge process. So if you believe a CAI and you're basically boundary, if there are missing CAIs, we would like you to send those to us via a spreadsheet that we have on our website. So the spreadsheet is called CAI template, and you have to fill those templates out completely. So, and this is just because there's a formal process to getting those CAIs added to our list. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to our office. There's also additional information about submitting missing CAIs on the ACA challenge evidence requirements. It kind of spells out basically the steps to submitting those to us.
I'll plug in the link to the page that has a CAI template on it. You have to scroll down probably about a third of the way on the page to get to that template. And the template is a download, so I can't send you the link to the download. Okay, so we will move on to the next question, which is from Karen. Who does the rebuttal email get sent to in the local government?
Great question, Karen, and I can go ahead and take this. So the portal does have automatic responses, at least to certain ISPs when they have to rebuttal a challenge. However, when it comes to local government, the portal can't distinguish who it needs to send that response to. So if there's a rebuttal waiting for local government, this goes into a section of the portal called open rebuttals. And so that's where folks that basically can filter and see which challenges are applicable to them. So the types of challenges you're going to see in the open rebuttal section are going to be reverse availability challenges. And like Sandeep was saying, planned service challenges. So once we receive those, basically our office receives those challenges, we review the evidence to make sure it's a legitimate challenge. And once we accept the challenge, it goes into the open rebuttal status. So basically to make sure that we have as much participation from local government, we'll go ahead and our office will send local governments those emails to let them know, hey, we just approved this challenge and you should see it in the open rebuttal section. Go ahead and respond to it. And this is just to basically the portal can't distinguish who to send it to, but we want to make sure that we do have as much participation as possible.
Crystal, I'm realizing I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, no, I wasn't sharing I'm just
Okay, I wasn't sure
looking
if you
to
were
the
and like
side.
walking people through the process. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm more than happy to share my screen and show folks how to do it, but
Okay. All right. So thank you for that one. We'll move on to the next. This is from Philip and Yuma. If a census block group has both underserved and served residents, will that block qualify for BEAD funding?
Hi, Kelly, I can help answer this one. BEAD eligibility is verified by residential address, actually, which makes it a pretty unique program. Therefore, underserved addresses will qualify as BEAD eligible regardless of their served neighbors.
Kelly, just want to add what Jamie said. So basically, if within a census block, there are 30 households and 29 of them are currently served and one is unserved, it's not about the whole census block. It would be only that one household which will be eligible for BEAD funding. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, great. Next question. I want to make sure I'm getting them all in the right order. Another from Corey. We are considering writing a letter of support that lists a particular criteria stating what we consider a successful partner rather than supporting a specific ISP. Is this methodology acceptable?
That's a great question, Corey. I know that counties are going through their own RFI system, selecting their own partners, but to make things competitive, you are always most welcome to write 2 letters of recommendation. I would recommend when you are sending a recommendation letter, instead of writing those criterias, I would say still write those criterias, but write it for 2 different ISP or 3 different ISP just to make things competitive in your particular project area or in your county. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. After that, we've got Mary. CAI locations are placed incorrectly on the Navigator map. The address is correct, however, it displays the wrong location. How concerned should we be about those?
I know Mary did send a follow-up saying that I answered the CAI question, but just to kind of reiterate, if the location is right, if it's placed on the right building address, then I wouldn't worry about it. If it's placed on the wrong building address, you can basically let our office know. You can send us an email, myself or to the broadband inbox or anyone on the team, and let us know where the location should be. This will really help us when we're scrubbing the list and fixing those geolocation issues. But what we're really concerned about is if CAIs are missing from the list. We really want you to follow the proper challenge process procedures. And so those procedures are on our website.
Okay. Tom said, thanks, Crystal, for your answer before. Another from Mary. Crystal's response answered my CAI question. All right, I'll dismiss all of those in a second. One from Tammy. We received a copy of the letter sent to RDOF recipients. Thank you. Will you provide the group with an update on any responses submitted to the ACA?
Absolutely, Tammy. I mean, that is our target at this point. I think once they respond to us by May 14th, sharing their intention and how they will build in those areas, we'll be able to share that with this whole team. Also, at the same time, I just want to add a side note here that we currently have NDAs with some of the RDOF provider here in Arizona. They're working with us identifying the areas or household which was newly added in the census block after they received the RDOF funding from the FCC. So we're also identifying those, and you will see more houses kind of open up for BEAD funding in the same RDOF block, just to make sure that what they're not building, that will be added in the BEAD. So there are a lot happening in the background. Happy to discuss more once we have more fruitful discussion or map is updated with more accurate data.
Got it. All right, another from Karen. Who is the specific contact? County administrator, board of supervisor? How is a local point of contact identified?
All right, another great question. So our thought process is that we'll start at the county level. So we do have, I think, at least participation from all counties. There was a couple of counties that we didn't have participation from, so we were reaching out to them and making sure that they were registered in the portal. So once we know of, let's say, like a planned service challenge, this is going to be a pretty big data set. We want to make sure, counties and local government are involved. So first we'll reach out to the counties, everybody that's registered under that county. By starting that conversation, we can figure out who else needs to be identified. And so we're hoping that the counties will sort of support us and assist us in figuring out who else needs to be identified. But I do want to let everyone know everybody has access to challenges that are in the open rebuttal page. And only challengers can respond to them. So I'm sure not everybody here is, monitoring the Navigator as much as our office is, but you can see all of those in the Navigator. And we're just going to let you know, hey, so that you don't have to go through hundreds of challenges. We'll let you know, hey, your county has this rebuttal waiting. Let's go ahead and figure out who this needs to go to so that they can respond appropriately.
All right, next one is from Titus. If an ISP isn't listed on the BEAD challenge page, how do we request that it be added?
Yeah, so I assume when you're signing, sorry, Jamie, I didn't mean to step on you. So I'm assuming that when you're trying to register, you're not seeing your ISP listed, and that's because the drop-down list was basically, we took all of the ISPs that the FCC has reported to be operating in Arizona. They were added to that list. If you don't see your ISP on that list, meaning you don't see your company on that list, you can just go to other, enter in the name of your company or your ISP, and then register for access under that ISP. If you don't see internet service provider on the map, it's because they didn't register their service area with the FCC, or perhaps it's a new service area, so it hasn't been updated on the FCC's map, or it's because they don't use a reliable technology.
Okay. Next question that I see in the chat, in the Q&A portion, is do you have the contact names at local governments you will be sending the rebuttal email notifications to ensure the correct contact person is notified? I am concerned it will slip through the cracks.
So, Joy, just to answer that question, I know that you are the primary registrar for the Apache County, so you will definitely get an email. But along with you, anyone who have registered as a consultant or also on behalf of the county will receive the same email from us. But I would still highly recommend to make sure that if nothing is going through the cracks, to check your portal and see if there is any pending rebuttal at this point. Crystal, if you want to add anything on top of that.
No, I mean, if there are multiple people in your county or within your local organization, get everybody registered, because that means you'll have more eyes on these challenges and basically on the status of what's going on.
As of today, all the counties are registered in the portal. So there is someone or multiple people from every single county is currently registered. And if we see any challenge which seems like, or any rebuttal which seems like questionable, and definitely counties should focus, you will also get a call from us just to make sure that we are not missing anything in this process. So yeah, I don't think that we are already at this point missing anything, because we'll make sure that we have your attention before we process a challenge or a rebuttal from a specific ISPs.
Okay, and there have been a few hands up, raised hands as well. So Tamara and Isaac, if you can check the chat, I did send you a message about your questions. And then Mary, I'm going to allow you to speak so you can answer or ask your question, which I'll do right now. But again, Isaac, oh, I think she took her hand down. Okay. Moving forward, from Dennis, I requested access to the challenge portal but have not been granted access. Is there something I'm doing wrong?
So I'm looking at our basically the pending requests, and I don't see. And the only reason we have requests pending is because we've reached out to them and basically asked to kind of verify their nonprofit status, or that we've asked them to register with their organization's email domain. And we don't often reject requests without following up and getting a response via email. So if you are, working with the local government, when you're signing up, we would like you to sign up with your organization's email domain. So this would be, Mojave.gov or Maricopa.gov or whatever organization, whatever capacity you're working with. I don't think I've rejected anything from you. So if you want, please send us an email and we can go ahead and troubleshoot this with you.
Crystal, I remember actually approving Dennis, but what happened when we approve someone, they get another email to set up the password. So Dennis, let us know that if you got that email, if somehow that ended up in the spam box, we can definitely re-register you. But I remember actually approving your request.
Yeah, and it looks like Dennis put his email in. It went with his chandleraz.gov email. So Dennis, I'm going to say that one has been answered, but while we're on this call, please go ahead and check your inbox in all the various locations. And if you've got quarantine somewhere, definitely check that to see if it might be hiding there.
Dennis, I just saw your response here too. It seems like you did check your spam, but you didn't get it. I have your email address. Let me follow up with you offline, and we'll get you registered and approved in the system.
Okay. And Isaac, thanks for putting your question in the Q&A. I'm going to jump up to Isaac since his hand was raised for a while. It seems the portal does not work correctly on mobile devices, smartphones, and tablets. After looking up address, you can only see the map, not the information normally in the left frame, nor the buttons for speed test and report a service issue.
Hey, Isaac, that's correct. And the reason for this is because you cannot submit a speed test from your mobile device. The guidance was written in volume 1. However, if you say you need to submit challenge evidence or report a service issue evidence, you can take a screenshot from your phone and then email it to yourself and then submit it via your desktop. But yes, you're correct. The reason for that is because you cannot submit a speed test from your mobile device.
Okay. Next is from Peter. How should we go about challenging an RDOF area in the portal before the 14th deadline?
So, Peter, RDOF is a federal enforceable commitment. Technically, the way NTI challenge process is written, you cannot directly submit a challenge against any RDOF because those are active projects and currently active with FCC. However, if an RDOF recipient has no plan to build in a particular area and they already provided a letter to the county, you can use that to directly send it to us, and we'll be able to accept that as a challenge to waive that area from federal enforceable commitment. Also, at the same time, we're working with counties. If county thinks that there is an RDOF provider in that particular area who's not going to build, that how to submit a waiver. The State Broadband Office is interested in submitting waiver for multiple RDOF areas here in the state. And we are working with those counties at this point to gather support letter and work with these counties to plan a strategy going forward that how we will submit that waiver to the federal government. Not all the waivers are guaranteed, so it's depend on the assistant secretary. There was a call last week. All the counties from the whole country was, and they also explained their stand on RDOF. If an RDOF provider is currently registered with FCC and they file their quarterly report and they file their progress report, it would be very, very difficult to remove that RDOF provider from the map or get the waiver from NTIA. However, if there is a RDOF provider whose 40% commitment is due by end of this year, but there is no activities on the ground, but still the report was filed, NTIA is still interested hearing from the state, and that in a form of the waiver we are talking about here. That was one of the reasons we sent this letter to all RDOF recipient here in Arizona. And talking about the letter, I got another question from Joy. Joy is asking if she can get a copy of that letter. Kelly, would you be able to post that letter in the chat so that everyone can have a copy?
Sure, I think I can do that. Let me just make a note so I don't forget that. I'll do that by the end of the meeting. Okay, next question from Corey. Is there a good way to sort through the challenges in the open rebuttals?
So that's a great question, Corey. Okay, so when you're in the dashboard, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me log out first. So when you're in the dashboard and you go to open rebuttals, there's a couple ways that you can sort it. If you click by either challenger status, challenger ID type, you can sort this way. So those are pretty much the only ways to sort it in the portal. However, because we've had this come up in some meetings with the portal developers, we do plan on publishing weekly reports for local government and for ISP. So every Friday we'll receive a new report that has basically the challenge, the status of every challenge, and it'll have a lot of data associated with it. I would not use this as like an authoritative list because it is data heavy. I would just use this to assist you when you're responding to these rebuttals. So once we sent the request Friday to our Marcoms team, they should have the reports available on our website here, either today or tomorrow. And so those will come out weekly, basically until the end of the rebuttal period.
Or as a local government, you will be able to see the challenges in two places. As Crystal mentioned, that do not use the Excel spreadsheet, what we are putting on our website for the challenges. I mean, those are great, but those are generated from the portal. When you are responding, you will be responding through the portal, but you can still use the Excel spreadsheet as a primary point. Like you can sort it through your county and see who are the ISPs who challenged each other and who are the ISPs who submitted rebuttal and everything. It's like a snapshot view. We are doing that to make sure that you as a county are not going through a process that taking your rebuttals taking your rebuttals tab and missing something in the process. So this is a way to see that what county received how many challenges and what's the status of that. So that's a good data point, but when you are responding, you are still going to respond through the portal.
And sorry, I just want to add something. When we're reaching out to local government about open rebuttals, we can definitely provide the challenge ID associated with it. So you'll be able to search in the open rebuttal page at the top. There's a search bar, so you can search for that challenge ID and kind of limit the number of challenges you're seeing there.
All right, looks like Jamie might be typing an answer in for Corey as well. I'll move on to Philip. How can counties express or opt in for a waiver request for RDOF?
Very simple. Please just send us an email that you want to work with us on a waiver request. We will take that data, we'll guide you and set the strategy for you that how we can help you. You can help us to submit a waiver to NTIA. However, again, we have only limited number of waiver options available. So when we are submitting that to NTIA, so it will be case by case basis, but definitely looking forward to work with every single county on their RDOF waiver request. So please send us an email and we'll be able to take the discussion from there.
Great. Okay, Tom's got one. Can I ask who the Gila County contact is for the rebuttal report?
Hi, Tom. I just took a look and it looks like we have you registered in the portal. So to answer your question, it would be you or Gila County.
All right, and it looks like Isaac might have a follow-up and some clarification. He's saying, Crystal, so I can have my Wi-Fi connected PC, wired is not available, and do a speed test on the portal, but not a Wi-Fi connected mobile device.
Hey, Isaac. Yeah, that's correct. Although when you're taking a speed test, we have some basically like stipulations on what a valid speed test is. So, and that's going to be found in volume 1, the approved volume 1, which is on our website. So you have to be basically right beside your router or wired to your router or your modem. Those would be permissible forms of a speed test, but because there are certain, Sandeep can talk more technical, but basically your mobile phone isn't going to get the best speeds.
Absolutely. So this is all set by NTIA, and the way speed test works, they believe that it only need to be connected with your laptop. And they prefer to connect the laptop directly or hardware with the modem, or you are very close to the modem. So we talked about that into our challenge process guide document. When you are trying to take that using mobile phone, different mobile phone with different wireless technology has different standards. So most of the mobile phone coming from last 6 years, the wireless technology, especially the Wi-Fi technology, when it comes to the laptop, they're implementing 8.11g for last almost 7 years. Mobile phone just like, or cell phone devices just implemented that in 3 years. So NTIA strongly feels that using mobile phone is not going to be the perfect way to capture a speed. That's why they said no to the mobile phone and yes to the laptops. So we have ways from the MAC addresses where when you are taking a speed test, we can identify if this was taken through the mobile phone or it was taken through a laptop. So I would highly recommend to make things more official and acceptable when it comes to the challenge, to encourage the community using computer instead of mobile phone.
Great. Okay, there are no other questions in the pipeline right now.
And all the RDOF letter is posted on the chat, so please feel free to have a look and let us know if you have any question.
We've been talking about our newsletter for a while, and it is coming this week. And I want to make sure that everybody, I'm sure everyone who is on the call will be getting it for sure because you're registered for it, for the webinar. But I will also put a link in the chat where you can sign up just to ensure that you are getting that as well.
Corey, thank you so much for the compliment. I just want to add one more pointer because this is the last webinar. There are, if you are checking the FCC map in your area and you are seeing that there's a planned surface area challenge, which was submitted to us as part of excluding that particular geographical area from the map, from the BEAD funding, please let us know if you have any question. There are issues happening across the country where particular service providers, they are adding network upgrade as a planned service area, which is excluding the whole geographical area from the BEAD funding, which is currently eligible. So if that's what you are seeing in the planned service area challenge, when we reach out to you, please reach out to us and we'll be able to provide you the NTI guidance on how network upgrade technically work. And if it's not a new network construction building, we'll be able to provide you more guidance. So please let us know and we'll take the discussion from there.
Do you have one question from Nathan? It was in the chat. Community anchor institutions. Are local government offices always classified as CAI?
So it doesn't. As far as it's covering it's helping the covered population, which is defined in digital equity plan, then it will be covered as a community anchor institute. But from our experience, in most of the cases, local government offices are providing support to the covered population or vulnerable population. So when you are downloading the template from our website to add new CI location, you will see there is a column there where you have to explain how this is serving the vulnerable population in the community. So if you can type your response real quick there, that would be acceptable as a CI.
Yeah, so I went ahead and shared my screen. So once Sandeep's talking about the CAI template, which is on our website, it's gonna download this Excel spreadsheet. We went ahead, these are basically the fields that are required by NTIA. And we went ahead and added basically, you know, how to complete these columns. And so the column that Sandeep is talking about is this one. When you're filling this out, so for example, when you're submitting missing CAIs, this is absolutely required. Basically, a brief description on how this institution facilitates greater broadband use and the population it serves.
Nathan, I do see your question in the chat. I will repost that template for you. No problem. All right, so it looks like the questions are slowing down. There aren't any others in the chat.
Kelly, I just want to mention the office hours. The office hours are still open every Tuesday. There are 4 slots, and those are getting filled really, really quickly. If you feel like there is no more office hour left, but you want to communicate with us, please send us an email. We'll be able to set up a half an hour or 1 hour call easily. Our target in this process to make sure that local government is fully supported through this challenge process and making sure that there is not a single household we are leaving behind when it comes to the BEAD funding. So please reach out to us. We are here to help. And the challenge process is closing really, really quickly. Just an FYI, for any part in the county which has DSL service, we are getting a lot of question about satellite services. Those doesn't need any kind of challenge regarding of the speed because those are not reliable wireless technology. Unlicensed fixed wireless is not a reliable reliable broadband technology. So those doesn't need any kind of challenges. So any question you have, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to set up a call.
Okay, so no other questions. And as Sandeep mentioned earlier, I do want to repeat that our next step for keeping local governments updated and informed would be this in-person meeting that we're talking about for next month. A date and all of that is still in the works, but I will be communicating with all of you who participated today and anyone who has signed up for a webinar about the dates and the information as soon as it's set and good to go. So stay tuned for that and our newsletter as well. And to any of the other panelists here, do you have any other details you'd like to share to wrap us up for today?
No, just always please reach out if you have any questions or need any help with the challenge process. And I would urge you to go ahead and start submitting those challenges now. That way our office can identify any evidence that you may have missed when submitting your challenge, and we can assist your challenges, make sure that they get to at least to the rebuttal period.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today, making time to ask us questions. And as everyone has been saying, reach out to us, email, office hours, whatever works. We are ready and waiting and here for you. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day.
Hey, Kelly, sorry, I just want to
okay.
highlight one thing for the local government. We have some emails coming in saying that ISPs who got challenged from the local government or nonprofits are directly reaching out to the local government and nonprofit. I would highly recommend you as a local government, you don't need to respond to them. Everything goes through us. So feel free to ignore. If you challenge an ISP and they're directly reaching out to you, feel free to ignore those. We will administer that part. If you have any question, need any support, again, reach out to us, but you don't have to talk to that particular ISP if you're submitting a challenge. So just wanted to make sure that part.
I can see the thumbs up. All right. Great
Thank you,
details.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.